Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight, by popular demand, I asked if you guys wanted it. You guys said absolutely. So we are going to be testing out the Azur Lane Baltimore Commander. Now, before we get started, I am going to be using my regular Baltimore because I'm just not a fan of this camo. Like, that's just me. Maybe you guys like it. I understand it's from the comic or the game or whichever. But yeah, just for me, this is sexy. But let's get into it. Our commander build is going to be adaptive tactics. Obviously, that's our base trait. This one is debatable. You can switch back and forth as you desire. Personally, I'm usually inside range, so I went with the extra fire, but I could also use the extra range occasionally, so that's up to you. The difference is not horrible in range. Like, you drop from 17.6 max range to I think it's 17 with this commander, because I use Isiroko Yamamoto and Norman Scott as our inspirations. So you don't get to use Kuznetsov like I normally do to increase it even further. So I think the max range that I was getting was 17 kilometers, or I can get the 19% chance to set fires. And when I actually do decide to set fires, I want to be able to set fires. So that's why I went with this in this instance. For the second one, I also went with Igniter. That gives us an extra 3%. Again, we end up with like a 19% chance to set fire with this build. But we're not shooting our, high explosive all that often. What we are doing is using armor piercing. And I've got to say, I was skeptical about this perk. But look at this. Alright, so punch through gives you a plus 3% chance of increased penetration, or plus 3% increased penetration. Sorry about that. And the main gun AP shell damage is increased. Now, you lose that main gun AP shell damage increase, but it's only 500 damage per citadel, essentially. So where you would be doing 5,500 damage per citadel, now you're only going to be doing 5,000 damage per citadel. Now, why that isn't important is for the same reason that Equilibrium of Power seems to be a worse perk than it actually is for the light cruisers. And it's because you do more citadels with this, and I will explain. So you actually get a more base penetration with this perk. Instead of 3%, you get 4% base penetration for your AP shells, and the time to detonation is reduced by 20%. Now, I'm only at rank 13 at the moment. I didn't have an extra insignia, so I couldn't go up to the next tier. But it's still worth it, I promise you. The AP penetration is amazing, and then on top of that, you're not overpinning as much, and you're going to see that in effect in the video to come. I promise. It's fantastic. I'm not joking. It is fantastic. I definitely love this perk. Thank you, Wargaming, for this commander, because otherwise I was a Norman Scott guy from here to oblivion. But I definitely do love this commander now. But Fixated is what I use instead of Steer Clear, because I don't generally need to wiggle waggle in the Baltimore as much. I do need my shells to hit, and that's going to come into play as well. So yeah, with this all said, let's look at our actual build for our Baltimore. You guys know it. It is Aiming Systems Mod 1, we have Steering Gears Mod 2, we have Concealment System Mod, and we have our Main Battery Mod 3. Okay, what does all this mean? It means that we get, we are using radar, by the way. Do not switch to the plane over radar. The radar is so amazing. Crap. I'll be right back. I gotta swap out my controller batteries. Alright. Luckily, I always have an extra set of batteries ready. They're already charged. Anyway, so we have, the radar is what you want every time, okay? It is so much more effective when you need a radar than it is with the plane. So, survivability is still the same, 42,400 hit points, 4% torpedo damage reduction. You do not want to take torpedoes in this. Okay, artillery, you have 9 203mm guns, which are 8-inch guns. Firing range is 15.9 kilometers. So you get, with the bonus range, you will go up to 17 kilometers flat. So you get 1.1 kilometers on your firing range. And like I said, it's debatable. That's the only perk that I would go, whether I want the fire or the range. Because you know me, I like my range as well. Being able to get plunging fire on battleships at range is amazing. But anyway, so that is a thing. We also have our reload time down to 10.6 seconds. The 180-degree turn time is not good at 34.5 seconds. I mean, that's battleship-esque. But, again, if you're a battleship player, you're used to doing this anyway. You use your ship to turn your guns faster. It's old school, but it works. So the turn time on these turrets doesn't usually bother me too much. Because the ship does turn relatively well. It doesn't turn great, but it turns relatively well. Chance to set fire, like I said, 19%. Our maximum AP shell damage is only 5,000, but you'll see in the video why that doesn't really matter, that we lose an extra 500 damage. And it's because of those shots that would normally be overpinning just aren't at all. And it is glorious, as you will see. Secondary armament. You have 12 127s. They unleash at 5.3. They are very good for cruisers, so keep that in mind. But again, you don't have to really worry about secondaries on cruisers all too often. But it has been known to get me a close quarters on occasion when I get people down to low health. Because, you know, I like to leave people on no health when I shoot them with the main guns. And so the secondaries always seem to be able to pull me out of it. But maximum speed is 33.5 knots. That's actually pretty good, especially for a big, heavy cruiser like this. Turning circle radius is 730 meters. That is not particularly good, but it's deceptive. Because this thing is deceptively good at turning when you need it to. Okay? Or at least it has been for me. When you need this thing to turn, it turns, which is amazing. The concealment is just under 11 kilometers, which is nice. It allows you to get nice and tight before you start unleashing those godforsaken broadside shots into beautiful cruisers and battleships. It's fantastic. Detectability by air is 6.8 kilometers and 7.2 kilometers detectability while firing in smoke. Okay, overview. Sticky shot, reduced ricochet chance, tough, above average base HP, but also above average armor thickness. This thing has a 27mm bow, which allows you to bow tank anything up to 15 centimeters, or 15 inches, sorry, not 15 centimeters. 15 centimeters would be really, really small. That'd be, what, 150 millimeters? Yeah, it's tiny. But that's light cruisers. But no, we can bow tank up to 15-inch guns. Alright, now we've already done a Meet the Baltimore. We don't need to go into it. But I will do me a nice little zoom around of this ship because I love this ship. You guys know it's my favorite cruiser, and with this commander and this perk, it just got even better. It's fantastic. Which solves a dilemma for me. I can use my normal Norman Scott build to do really good things with my light cruisers and stick with the equilibrium of power, and then I can have my fully packed on this commander for this build. So yeah, with that being said, let's get to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we are going to be in the Baltimore, obviously. We are on Haven, and we're going to have ourselves one of those games that you really do enjoy. You know, it's going to have everything. It's going to have good things. It's going to have bad things. It's going to have all of the things. It's going to have teammates that help, teammates that aren't so helpful. It's going to be great. So, with that being said, let's get into this. Now, it's been a while since I've been on Haven. I'll be real honest. It has been a while. Seems like the only maps that I ever get is Sea of Fortune and Sleeping Giants, and occasionally Greece thrown in there for good measures. But been seeing Estuary, been seeing some other maps get tossed around. Trident is another one I've seen a couple times recently. So maybe Wargaming is hearing us and starting to, you know, tweak the matchmaking maps a little bit. I appreciate it, that's for sure. And this isn't even a domination. I didn't even notice that until just now. It's not even a domination. So we got a twofer. Now, first of all, I just want to say hello to Tron. And he noticed me in this match. And he's going to be in the Colorado right behind me, I believe. So, hello. And then to, I think, is it Classy or Classy? Anyway, he's a German player. And he hadn't heard about my channel, but Tron was nice enough to tell him all about it. And so we got into a nice little conversation while the game was going on, and we're going to do our best to try to take advantage of the enemy's shortcomings here. Now, Prince Eugen, broadside on right off the bat. This is just begging for trouble. You've seen what I've done to hippers. The Prince Eugen is a hipper, okay? It is what it is. I don't remember all the differences. I'm sure there are people that can tell me the differences. But all I know is Prince Eugen, hipper, same ship, basically. So, yeah, we're going to try to punch him in the mouth while he's broadside. He does start to angle in a little bit. Then we've got the Indianapolis off to our right as well that we're going to try to hide from. I tell it all the time, one of my favorite things to do is limit who can shoot you. As somebody who gets focused real hard when I'm detected, anybody who has a chance to shoot at me will shoot at me. Now, obviously, I go ahead and start the sonar up because, you know, these guys don't go broadside for no reason, you know. You know it's coming, so pay attention, make sure you get a chance to punch them in the mouth and get out of the way of the torps. You don't have torpedoes, so you've got to be extra vigilant that you don't get hit by them, especially in the Baltimore because it has horrific torpedo reduction. Horrific. To put it into perspective, the Japanese cruisers have almost Iowa-esque torpedo protection. So, unfortunately, Baltimore does not. But Baltimore has much better all-around armor. Now here we're going to showcase the turning ability of the Balti and its acceleration, and this is what I'm talking about. When I say that it turns when I need it to, this is exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm used to handling battleships. Now we take a shot at the Wichita, and I'm not going to lie. Pow! Wait, what? What just happened? No, that wasn't me. That was the Colorado behind me, punching him right in the mouth, and then we just kind of hit him at the exact same time. So we yoink a kill there, but yeah, that was absolutely devastating. That Wichita realized way too early that he had made mistakes with his. I don't know who he pissed off at some point, but good God, Wargaming was like, no, RNGesus, strike him down. But yeah, don't worry. We know that the Moss is out here now. He's launching torps, but we're missing him by a mile. We have popped our first radar here to try to find him because I had a sneaking suspicion because of course I was detected. Now we shoot HE here. This was a bit of a mistake. I didn't realize I was on HE right away because firing at the broadside of a cruiser that has little armor with HE, I mean it's effective if you hit him, but think of what my AP would do to this guy right now. But, you know, once I realized that I'm firing HE at a cruiser, then I swap it. But I was anticipating firing at the destroyer, which is the original reason I fired HE, and then I just kind of forgot that I did that. But you'll see here, I think it's after this shot that I shoot and realize that I was firing HE and switch over to AP. Now, of course, he's bow tanking me. Or maybe it's this one. It's one of these shots, I promise. It was either that one or this one. It wasn't that one, so it must be this one. But one of these I definitely notice and then switch over to the AP. He is bow tanking me, which you would be like, oh, but you can't do... It's an Indianapolis. And what did we talk about? The one drawback of the Indianapolis is its armor. So, yeah, we're going to be able to chunk him. And, of course, we have drawn him in front of the rest of my team. He is going against the one thing that I just said a minute ago where I was talking about limit who can shoot you. If it's me versus him, he has a much better chance, especially if he would get into his head that he could have loaded AP and annihilated me while I was sitting there broadside to him. But because he wasn't, I didn't worry about it. You know, I don't have to angle if you're not going to shoot me with AP. But instead of going into the base here, this could be the one play that everybody looks at and goes, Spartan. If you'd have just continued into the base and chased down that destroyer rather than doing what I'm about to do, you may have won this match. Now, obviously, that's a little bit of a showcase or an early or whatever you want to call it. It's a little bit of a spoiler. That's the word I was thinking of. Spoiler for the end of this video. But don't worry, there's still plenty more action to come. I have done pretty well up to this point in minimizing, you know, health lost, even though we've engaged, 3 ships? 2 of them especially, but basically 3 ships because the Moss was shooting us as well. But we're about to get into a fight with a York, an Atago, and a Nagato. Now, why is it that I say and a Nagato, and anybody who knows me talking about the Baltimore is that 27 millimeters of bow armor can be overmatched by 16-inch guns. Therefore, the only real threat while you're bow tanking is 16-inch guns. So, getting into a fight, you have to be aware of that. And while I was aware of the Nagato, I was thinking to myself, and I'll be honest, I underestimated the Nagato in this match. Because this man gets the RNG of the gods. I wish my Nagato, first Citadel by the way, we nailed the Atago for the first Citadel. We look at the Moss, and again, this is where we're going to try to limit who can shoot us. Instead of letting the Moss tee off on us, we're going to push around the corner. Obviously, Atago has launched his torpedoes, so nothing to worry about from this side. He's also going to run aground, and so all we got to do is come around the corner and absolutely press delete. Pow! 12,000 damage right there, and there's where you start to see we did get 4 overpins, but we got 2 Citadels that time. Much better result, and this time we get 2 more Citadels and only 1 overpin with 1 ricochet. We finish him off with the rear, getting another Citadel in there, and what we're about to do to this York should be all of the information you need, after we just got punched in the mouth, by the way, but 20,000 damage salvo, 4 Citadels with just the front guns. Jesus! Calm down, Balti. Wait for it. Pow! She can do it twice. But unfortunately, I knew I could dodge these torpedoes, but we took too much damage from the Nagato in the first salvo, and he's able to finish us off again with another fantastic grouping. But we finished the game with 125,000 damage and 4 kills. We did everything that we could in this match. Now, there was a couple moments there we probably could have played a little bit smarter. Again, I underestimated the Nagato. That was my bad. But as a showcase of what this ship can do with that new perk from the Azur Lane Baltimore Commander, I'm happy. 12 Citadels, guys, on cruisers. Now, yes, we didn't Citadel a battleship. We didn't really get a chance to shoot at a battleship. But given the fact that you get more penetration with this perk than you get with punch through, and you get the bonus of having less fuse time, so you're less likely to less likely to overpin. It is a fantastic combination, especially in an anti-cruiser role. Now, I've had multiple chances to shoot at battleships, and you're still doing, you know, 5 to 10,000 damage per salvo on a battleship while battle tanking them. So you're not losing much in terms of damage there. Again, the maximum damage that you lose is 500 on a Citadel. So anything less than a Citadel, your losses are, you know, not really noticeable too much. Shots where you would normally hit somebody for 7,000, you're hitting for like 6,000. So you will notice a little bit, but again, the making it up with the making up the difference in less damage with the more Citadels is where this perk comes into its own. It is fantastic. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this. I know I kind of spoiled the ending here, I apologize. But, you know, this Helena's getting a little bit too cocky. He's charging 16-inch guns, and he decides to half-heartedly decide to dodge. Not a good play. But you can see this Nagato had, I'm not joking when I say that he had the dispersion of gods in this match. I don't know. My Nagato was never this accurate, even before they nerfed it. And after they nerfed it, it's rough some days when you play the Nagato. But yeah, you can see this isn't going well. They're about to finish off this guy. Luckily, in fairness, Nagato goes down. So now it is just one Yadachi versus a Yadachi and a Moss. Now, unfortunately, Moss still has all of his hit points, and that is going to be the undoing of our team. Because this Yadachi player, I don't know. I'm not saying he was a bad player or anything like that. He's done everything he can to try to help our side. Launching torpedoes and whatnot. There was a couple big cruisers over there that could mop the floor with him, so you can't really fault him there. He does manage to help take out the Nagato, and now he's going back to engage the base once again, this time with the Moss in it. And honestly, if this guy had stuck to the idea of just fighting him, just gunning him down, watch the amount of damage he gets here in this first salvo. A good chunk. And he's able to, he doesn't really dodge. He stays broadside. He gets lucky there, doesn't really take any damage. They get a couple hits and knock out his engine, and then suddenly all things go horribly wrong here. You know that the torps are coming, and that's what he's doing. He's trying to dodge torps that he knows are coming. He's doing a lot of damage to the Moss, not taking a lot in return. But as he opens back up, he gets his engines knocked out for a second time, and unfortunately, he just happened to turn right back into the torpedoes he knew were coming. And that's going to be the end of it. So, well played at the end, with the exception of one mistake for that guy. If we hadn't made the mistake, we did. But look at that, 125,000 damage, high caliber, top leaderboard, over 2,000 base XP. And we had a guy that did nothing on our team, literally, a goose egg. That is the definition of a potato. So, if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you in the next video.